Hey you guys, it's Dr. Dan Lieberman with Best Practice Health. I'm super excited to be with you today to talk about one of my very favorite subjects as a former spine surgeon, and that is the condition known as spondylolisthesis. There's nothing easy about spondylolisthesis. Even the pronunciation is hard. Spondylo, which means bone, lis, which means movement, listhesis, movement. And we're going to talk about this condition today. If you have it, you know it, probably because you had an x-ray, possibly because of an MRI. You either heard it from your doctor or you saw it in the report. So I'm going to assume that that is the case, that you have spondylolisthesis and you know you have it because of some kind of an imaging study. It's a very important point. It's a very important point because this is not theoretical. What most people do when they have a condition like this, it's potentially a very serious condition, is they look at how to spell it, go home, type that into Google, and then they get the Google report. What we're going to do today is go over that Google report so that you will know all of the important things that guide you as far as what you need to know and what you need to do about your condition. Because I got to tell you, partially this report, the Google report, is not really necessarily made for just you. It's also for doctors. It's also for every medical professional who's Googling this. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this, which is actually not super helpful. And we're going to cut through all that and watch to the end so you can find out everything you need to know to be safe and make sure you get the right care. I think I've told you before, and I'm going to tell you again, I used to be a surgeon, a neurosurgeon. I had to stop doing that due to tremor. Now, my job is to make sure that you use the information you get through social media to find the right doctor. And there's no diagnosis like spondylolisthesis for sending people in the wrong direction, misdirecting you to go to the wrong doctor, which is just a massive waste of time, money, and our treasured health. So no. This is going to prevent you from going down the wrong path. That's the goal. I think the best way to do this is just to type in spondylolisthesis in the Google browser, and that's what I've done here. And you can see the results that you get. Google starts out with an AI overview, which is kind of cool, as they do these days. And they show you some pictures of the spine. On the left is the normal spine, where there's a smooth alignment of the vertebrae. And on the right, in this Google image, is spondylolisthesis. And that's where one of these bones has shifted compared to the other. It's actually not super relevant what it is, to be honest with you, or how it happened, because you have it. So if you want to kind of study the possible causes, or you're a historian or that kind of stuff appeals to you, then dive into this, what caused spondylolisthesis or what have you. But as it turns out, it's going to have virtually no impact on what you do about it. Not none, but almost none. So as far as I'm concerned, you can probably skip that. But there is something about the cause that I do want you to take a look at, and that is this. First of all, the vertebrae in the spine, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the vast majority of cases are between 4 and 5. Some of the cases are between 5 and S1, the sacrum, but the vast majority are going to be right here at L4 and L5. And it's not a coincidence that that's kind of close to the apex of the curve of the spine. It has to do with the physics of how things move. The joints which hold the spine together in the back, the facet joints, can have a congenital defect, and that can allow this to slip. And so that's often how it happens. Honestly, again, who cares? But this is what I want to point out to you. If you look at the spine this way, you see that here's the vertebral body and here's the spinal canal. Now imagine that means the elements along the back of the spine, the lamina, forms the roof of the spinal canal, and the vertebral body forms the floor of the spinal canal. So if the floors shift like this, the spinal canal does this. And that narrowing of the spinal canal creates a condition doctors call stenosis. And stenosis is just a medical term for narrowing. But that is the detail which turns out to be the most important thing about spondylolisthesis, whether or not you have the stenosis. So you can skip all this caused by stuff, but what I want you to look for in your MRI report, if you have an MRI, is whether or not you have stenosis and how bad it is. Well, can you see that on your x-ray? No. An x-ray can show you the severity of the slippage of the bones, but the x-ray does not show you the spinal canal and therefore does not do a good job of telling you whether or not you have the stenosis. So you have to look on your MRI report, and radiologists typically grade stenosis, not A, B, C, D, or F. They grade it mild, moderate, severe, and marked, where marked is the worst and mild is the best. So you want to know where you are on that spectrum. So if you haven't already, go to your MRI report, if you've had an MRI, and look that up, because that's going to be crucial for our discussion later on. All right, you ready to transition into the first? So that's the first really important point that I want you to get. The second thing Google goes through are the symptoms. Honestly, if you had an imaging study with like an X-ray or an MRI that showed you have spondylolisthesis, you already know what your symptoms are. So I don't think that's particularly helpful either. Diagnosis, also not helpful, right? Because if you didn't have the diagnosis, you wouldn't be watching this video, or you shouldn't be watching this video. So no, so also not really relevant. So now we finally get to what's important with spondylolisthesis in your case, and that is treatment. We're going to go through, as doctor, I always want to share to you the risks, benefits, and alternatives to any treatment. And let's start out with what Google says is number one, which is observation. Yes, absolutely correct. One of the fathers of modern spine surgery was a doctor named Volker Sonntag. He was actually here at the Barrow. I'm in Phoenix. He was in Phoenix. So he's a guy I've known for a long time. Really excellent surgeon, excellent guy. He published a paper many years ago that looked at, well, what if you have spondylolisthesis without stenosis? What are the odds that you need anything done? And the odds were less than 20%. So less than 1 in 5 people who has spondylolisthesis without stenosis needs any treatment of any kind. Remember when I told you the crucial thing on your MRI is whether or not you have severe stenosis? That's where this comes in. If you had mild or even moderate stenosis and your pain is mostly in your back, then the spondylolisthesis is not really your issue. You have facet joint pain, and you should look up all my videos on management of facet joint pain to learn how to treat that, and that's with radiofrequency ablation, etc. If you have severe stenosis and it's causing pain down your legs, it's only going to get worse. You need surgery. You should go to those videos. Management of spondylolisthesis with stenosis. But if you have spondylolisthesis alone without stenosis, chances are, Google's right, observation is your number one thing. Well, why do anything? Well, you want to make sure it's not getting worse, right? So observation means something I would call radiographic surveillance, which means you get another X-ray 6 months or a year from now and see if the spondylolisthesis, if the shift has gotten any worse. If it hasn't gotten any worse, then it's probably not something that's going to require treatment. The next one Google points out is physical therapy. It doesn't do anything for this condition. This is a fixed condition. It's not something you can get movement for or restore yourself, so I disagree with that. That's really not helpful. Medications, pain relievers, muscle relaxants, and anti-inflammatories, no pain relievers. Narcotics are not appropriate for this kind of condition. The condition is permanent. Are you going to be on narcotics for the rest of your life? No, I don't want that for you. No. So no. Muscle relaxants, absolutely not. The muscles are the thing that is preventing further slipping and holding you in place, one of the things. And so you want muscle tone and muscle strength, not muscles to be relaxed. Anti-inflammatories, heck yeah. Inflammation in the facet joints can be a lot of what's causing this pain. You definitely want to consider anti-inflammatories. And that's usually, remember, broken down into non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or basically Tylenol on the other hand. The NSAIDs are great. That's Aleve, ibuprofen, Celebrex. There's dozens of them. The problem with all of those is long-term. They put you at high risk for a variety of problems, heart problems, as well as esophageal reflux, ulcers, yada, yada. There's a million things they can cause. You got to make sure with your primary care doctor that you're safe to take nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But if you are, then they're great and should really be, especially in the short term, very, very helpful. Tylenol is also very good, especially problem with Tylenol is it's only 4 hours and you have to take less than 3 grams a day. So Tylenol arthritis is a formulation that's often very, very helpful, very, very good in this situation. Bracing, absolutely not. Braces are cause the muscles that hold the spine together to become weaker. That's the opposite of what we want. So no Google, no. Bad Google. Bracing is not a good one. Surgery, yes, in cases where spondylolisthesis is combined with stenosis, the narrowing, that only gets worse over time. And if it's severe, you generally want to pick an appropriate window and look at having surgery. And then there's, of course, it's medicine, so it's never, I wish it was just cut and dry. It's always complicated. Spondylolisthesis grade 1 or grade 2, you can often have a laminectomy without a fusion or with a fusion. That's a whole another kettle of fish, and we've gone through that on the show with Best Practice Health with multiple patients, and I refer you to those episodes to try to sort that out if that's you. And I honestly, I hope that's not you, because it's much worse, much more complicated. Prognosis is the last thing that they go over, and quite frankly, I don't think this is super helpful. The prognosis does just depend on whether or not you need surgery, and if not, it's something you have to live with. The vast majority of people can live with just fine. It's been a real pleasure being with you today. I hope this was helpful. I really want to end on, okay, so who's the right doctor? If you have mostly leg pain or sciatica due to spondylolisthesis with stenosis, there's no point in pain management for that condition. You need to go see a surgeon. You want to see a best practice certified spine surgeon, which is an orthopedic surgeon who's done a spine fellowship or any neurosurgeon who specializes in spine. You want them to be minimally invasive, have lots of experience doing spinal fusions, and you especially want someone who is open to not doing a fusion. So you can look at whether or not they can discuss with you whether or not a fusion is in your best interest. That is something that depends on you individually and has to be decided with you as an individual. If you just have back pain and you don't have the stenosis, and your pain is predominantly mechanical pain on one side in your back, then you need to see a pain management doctor. You're a good candidate potentially for medial branch block, the test, followed by radiofrequency ablation. You are not a candidate for a spinal cord stimulator. I actually had an Uber. I was in Salt Lake City for a family funeral this last weekend. My Uber driver starts telling me she's thinking about a spinal cord stimulator for mechanical back pain due to spondylolisthesis. Like, no, that's RFA. And so hopefully she got me where I needed to go, and hopefully I'm going to help her get where she needs to go. But most importantly, I want to get you where you need to go. So if it's mechanical back pain, I want you to go to a pain management doctor, one who is an expert in diagnosis. That means they're double board certified, not one but 2 board certifications. The first one is going to be in anesthesia or physiatry. The second one is going to be in pain management. So if they got the dual threat, they're double board certified. They do all their injections with X-ray guidance, and they specialize in the management of people with back pain and other spine problems, then that's the one for you. You can always go to Best Practice Health. In many markets, we have indexed all the surgeons who meet these criteria for you. If we haven't done your area, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you, and we look forward to getting you the information you need to get you in the right place to get treated. Remember, you deserve the best medical care. Everyone does. You're worth it. You got to do your homework, though. You got to find out what's causing the pain. The why matters as far as where you go and how you get treated. For Best Practice Health, I'm Dr. Dan Lieberman. You have a great day.